Sup people, it's Multiplier here, and today what I thought I'd do is basically show you how I do my tutorials from like a technology point of view, because I've refined my setup quite a lot in the last year or two, and I think I've got a pretty good setup going, and it's not super trivial to set up, but it's not that complicated either. So I thought I'd run you through exactly how I do it. Cool. So first of all, using the Mac, so all the software I use is kind of Mac based, although I'm sure there's similar stuff for a PC. So yeah, first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up Ableton Live. So I'm going to choose probably the standard one instead of the beta, just because might as well choose the standard one for this. So yeah, opening up Live, and yeah, basically what I do is I run all the audio inside Live. And I used my Focusrite sound card to kind of get all the sound from the mic. So first thing we're going to do now we've opened up Live is plug in the sound card. Boing. Cool. Then we're going to make sure the mic is somewhere near my head, otherwise it's not really going to sound very good. And yeah, as far as the mic goes, got pretty much the cheapest good quality mic going, so it's I think it's a Behringer or Behringer, however you say it, B1. It's like £50 or something, and it's a proper mic, but a super cheap one compared to a lot of mics. So it kind of does the job. I end up running the mic through a bunch of processing, so it doesn't really matter what the natural character of the mic is. To be honest, it just has to do a decent job. And then of course I got the pop filter thing on, whatever you call it, just to kind of stop popping noises if I kind of scream at the mic or say stupid stuff. So that's important. If you're wondering what this thing is on the stand, it's basically, forget the name of it, but it takes all the kind of the vibrations, it kind of isolates the mic from the vibrations coming through the table and stuff. So those things are pretty cool, and it's just a pretty cheapy mic stand as well. Doesn't really matter what it is. So yeah, the mic is running like XLR cable into a mic preamp. Got again the cheapest like OK one, a Behringer thing called like Tube Ultra Gain Mic 100, which means it's pretty like awesome. It's because 100 is a pretty big number, and yeah, it basically just turns up the kind of sound of whatever it's called, turns up the level of the sound going to the mic, and it's also got phantom power in it as well, which is super important because my mic needs power to work, otherwise it won't work. I think strictly speaking, the Focusrite here has preamps in and has all the phantom power stuff, so technically I don't think I need this preamp, but I haven't really figured out how the settings work on this very, very simple audio interface, so because I already had the preamp line about, I thought I might as well just keep on using it. So yeah, so the mic going into preamp, so I'm going to turn on phantom power, that plus 48 volts, otherwise it won't work. Turn on the limiter on the preamp, just in case I accidentally like shout too loudly into it. And I know, roughly speaking, I want to turn the gain up to about there, and the output to about there as well. So I kind of get some sort of level going into kind of through the signal chain. And then I got the mic preamp going into one of the mic inputs. I just chose this input because it was closer on the Focusrite. And then the settings online, I think if I chose instrument, I don't know. I think instrument wouldn't really work, or it would just sound like far too loud. So it's online, I think, because the preamp makes the signal really hot. You can tell I'm a sound engineer, right? And then I like turn up this gain thing to about there, and then it's roughly about right. And yeah, what I end up doing is kind of doing a few test kind of talky things, and then what's really cool is I got the kind of levels meter, as you can see on the preamp, so I can make sure the levels in the preamp are alright. And then I got this cool kind of ring around the gain knob on the kind of the input of the Focusrite, which allows me to kind of check the levels basically going through this stage. So of course if I turn it up too much, it starts to go orange and red, so it's like too loud, so just turn it back a bit so it stays lovely and green. Pretty sweet. So yeah, it's just finding the right balance. Doesn't need to be perfect because I end up running it through a bunch of processing in Live anyway. But yeah, that's kind of like my input from the mic. So you can do it a bit simpler. You don't need like a proper mic necessarily. I did start off with like a cheap USB mic, and before that just the built-in mic on my old MacBook Pro. But yeah, it's just nice to have better quality sound, right? Which is pretty cool. So yeah, and as far as like listening to the sound, I end up using headphones just because otherwise you get like feedback going through the microphone. So I'll just pull out some headphones like this guy right here, some of my DT7070 Pros. So yeah, listen through those bad boys, which of course come out one of the outputs on the interface, through a preamp, which is again just the cheapest OK preamp. It's called like a Project Headbox S or something. Got to turn it on, turn this up a bit, turn this up a bit, just the gain bits. And then yeah, I can hear stuff coming out through the headphones. It's pretty cool. And then other cool little setting is there's a direct monitor setting on this interface, which basically allows, if direct monitor is on, then some of the sound that's come through the input on the interface goes straight to the headphones, which is really good because it means there's no latency on that. And if it's off, the only things you hear through the headphones are stuff coming out of the of Ableton, like after it's been processed, which obviously has a lot of latency in it, which can be quite annoying, and it's quite hard to talk when there's a really kind of weird amount of delay in what you hear. So it's quite nice just to mix that in with the direct monitor. So I normally leave that direct monitor on. Cool stuff. Right, that's the basic things. So yeah, software wise, what do we do? Well, we've got live, and what I need to do first of all, let's go to like live preferences, and what I do is for audio input device, choose something like Scarlett 2i2 USB, which is my Focusrite interface just there. And then after that, what do? Yeah, it's already on the right one. Basically, well, actually, I know what I need to do first. I need to make sure Soundflower is up. It's just a little audio routing application thing. You've probably heard of it. If not, Google it. So now live preferences. So the input is the input coming from my mic, which is basically coming from the sound card. The output is not actually going directly to the audio interface. It's going via Soundflower. And why it's going via Soundflower, in this case the 2-channel Soundflower because it's easier, is basically because of the way I end up recording like the screen. It's just part of the way I have to do things. So basically audio comes out alive through Soundflower, and that's cool. But then what you need to do is go to Soundflower up here in the toolbar and make sure, I think by default it's on none, make sure Soundflower 2-channel, which is where we routed all our output, is on Scarlett 2i2. So now you kind of visualize what's going on. We've got the Ableton Live sending audio to Soundflower, and then Soundflower is then sending audio out to the Scarlett 2i2, which is the interface. So now we can hear shit through the headphones. Sweet. You keeping track of this? It's a bit complicated, right? But yeah, not too bad really. It's just a case of thinking things through. Cool stuff. Right, that's all the Ableton stuff set up. It's also important to kind of, in your audio setup bit in Soundflower, make sure your 2-channel bit, this master is at 1. Sometimes it seems to go down a bit, or maybe the sample rate changes. So you got to sometimes check your Soundflower settings, but otherwise stuff just sounds a bit wrong and you're not sure why. Yeah, it's quite a lot of things to check here. What's next? Oh yeah, the actual screen recording bit. So like a lot of people, I use ScreenFlow, which is I'm not sure if it's Mac only or not, but it's pretty awesome. It's only like £60–70 or something. It's not too expensive, but it's not super cheap. It's definitely worth your while if you're doing any of these things, because it just makes life a lot easier. So I used to use a bunch of really cheap or free ones, but they were just horrible quality, and it was just a nightmare to set up, and it just started going wrong for no reason. But yeah, ScreenFlow makes it easy. So you can see in the ScreenFlow settings, record audio from, and this is why we want Soundflower 2-channel. Now we could choose Scarlett 2i2, but then the problem with that is then you end up not hearing the, it just doesn't quite work very well in terms of, because what I want is for the videos to hear the audio from the mic and the audio coming directly from Ableton Live. and routing it through Soundflower this way is the only way I've really made it work. I can't remember exactly why it doesn't work if you just choose Scarlett 2i2. Yeah, for some reason it doesn't work basically. But yeah, so it's basically the screen recording program is getting the sound from Soundflower, which we're kind of running it through, if you've remembered. So sweet. And yeah, record desktop from color LCD, which is just my built-in screen on my laptop instead of my external monitor. We don't want record computer audio, because there was a way to like have it working if without going through Soundflower. I think if I said record computer audio and record audio from the Scarlett 2i2, but then I had 2 audio channels in the screen recording thing, and it was just like too complicated. Don't bother with that. So this kind of works, and Soundflower doesn't really introduce much latency at all, so it's pretty sweet. So yeah, that's your kind of screen recording thing. There's few things I forgot to do in Ableton. So we just renamed this channel mic. We basically need to set up the mic channel in Ableton. So we make sure the audio from is either auto or in, ideally. In's probably a bit simpler. That way it doesn't accidentally stop working if you start doing recording other tracks as part of your kind of tutorial. Yeah, what next? Oh yeah, what we do to like the audio that's coming in. So now you can kind of see as I'm talking, the meter's going up. That's kind of showing that our audio setup is working as far as the sounds coming through all the mic signal chain and stuff. But what we want to do is we're going to process it a bit. So first of all, we're just going to double check levels and stuff. So we kind of tweak those little gain knobs I talked about earlier on the input, just so when I'm talking, it's kind of hitting the right sort of level on the meters. But then what we're going to do is, what I personally found makes a big difference, and a lot of people don't do, is basically processing the mic sound. So if we're going to grab plugins, VST, Isotope Alloy, stick it on the mic channel, and the preset that I found, haven't tried that many presets, but the one I know just works. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It is Loud Broadcast VO under the podcast and broadcast one. A compressed and DS dialogue preset, bright and loud. Just seems to work pretty well. So what I tend to have to do is kind of, once I hear it coming through Alloy, it's just kind of sometimes tweak the input gain knobs to make sure that all the kind of threshold levels for the compressors, and see how the dynamics here, got all like the compressor level and the gate level. You have to make sure those levels make sense by just kind of controlling how hot the incoming signal is. So yeah, that's kind of that. That makes my voice sound a bit better. It does introduce some latency, which can be a bit of a problem, so you just kind of get used to it, and you help things out by having the direct monitor on. But yeah, a bit of latency, just get used to it, results in a better sound, so it's all good in the hood. And yeah, should I probably do a quick record just to kind of illustrate what happens when I record something. So screen flow, configure recording. So do a few like test like sounds, make sure the meter's moving so we know the audio's working. Hit record, drink a bit of beer while the seconds counting down. Cool, say something interesting like this is a tutorial, wagwan and ting. And stop the record, boing. And you can pretty much edit everything in ScreenFlow instead of exporting it and then editing it in Final Cut. So what I have been doing recently, which is pretty cool, is kind of actually doing more than just exporting it and actually doing a bit of editing in here. So I had I drag out my kind of intro video bit before the clip, and also I've been adding out those I think they call them call out things. So now when I click video, click add call out, oops, bashed the keyboard there, got this kind of call out bit. So now when we go interesting, like this is a tutorial, wagwan and ting. So we had that kind of zoom in bit on the mouse, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, if you want to get really awesome and you add these all the time, what you want to do is set up all these kind of properties, preferences to how you like, hit that little preferences thing, and then make settings default for new callouts. That'll save you bare loads of time. Since I don't like the default settings when you first open up ScreenFlow. Yeah, that's pretty much it. As far as exporting, I found file, export, and the preset of web and high, scale by 50%, works pretty well, at least for me. Although I guess it depends on stuff like your resolution you're recording on your screen. I got pretty mega resolution going on my Retina MacBook Pro, so maybe scale by 50% won't work for everyone. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't compress the video after that. I let YouTube process it and do its thing. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Fuck knows how long that video was, but that's basically how I record my videos. And if any of you actually kind of kept along with that, or you're a genius, because that sounded quite complicated, actually talking it through. But yeah, works pretty well for me. And yeah, feel free to hit me up if you do have any questions or whatever. But yeah, that's how I do it. And sweet. Been Multiplier. Take it easy. Brrrr.